Okay, let's dive into this. Picture yourself standing right in the middle of an ancient, old-growth forest. The air is totally still, those towering trunks perfectly motionless. It feels completely, utterly quiet. But in this explainer, we're going to see that this quiet is actually an illusion.
Because the truth is, a forest may look silent, but beneath the ground and through the air, plants can exchange signals. Seriously, this isn't some science fiction movie. This is observable, documented biology. We're about to go on a really wild spatial journey today, starting high up above the canopy and then traveling deep, deep down into the soil. We're going to uncover how these organisms, which, don't even have brains or mouths, are actually interacting, warning each other, and adapting to their environments.
Section 1. The illusion of silence. So we usually think of plants as these isolated, passive objects, right? Just sitting there, accepting whatever fate comes their way. Well, we need to completely shatter that illusion. When researchers actually look closely, they see plants exhibiting incredibly complex adaptive behaviors. They're rapidly changing their internal physiology. They literally alter their gene regulation, flipping specific defensive traits on or off, all based on what's happening around them. So they aren't just sitting there at all. They're actively managing their survival based on cues from their environment and from their neighbors. But you might be wondering, how exactly do they get those cues?
Which brings us to Section 2, Signals in the Air.
Let's look up for a second. Imagine how messages might actually travel through the forest air. When a plant gets damaged, say a hungry insect starts chewing on its leaves, it absolutely doesn't suffer in silence. It immediately releases airborne chemical signals right into the breeze. In the scientific literature, these are called volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. Think of these VOCs like invisible distress flares. As these chemicals drift through the air, neighboring plants actually detect them. And once they intercept these VOCs, boom, they trigger their own internal defense responses, getting completely prepared for an attack before those bugs even reach their own branches. It is an absolutely incredible early warning system.
Now let's head lower. Section 3, the underground fungal network.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that as amazing as those airborne signals are, they're totally at the mercy of the wind. To find a more permanent, structured network, we have to look past the forest floor and dig deep into the soil. Down here, we find common mycelial networks, or CMNs. These are massive underground systems formed by mycorrhizal fungi. These fungi colonize the plant roots, creating this beautiful symbiotic relationship. But they don't stop at just one plant. Their tiny thread-like structures, called hyphae, reach out through the dark soil and physically interconnect the roots of dozens, maybe hundreds of multiple plants. They literally tie the entire forest together, root to root.
So how do these two systems actually compare? Above ground, like we saw, the air relies on those volatile organic compounds, drifting chemicals. But underground, inside this vast fungal network, things operate very differently. Signals can actually be transferred directly through the liquid inside those fungal hyphae. And even more incredibly, and this frankly blew my mind, researchers point to the presence of rapid electrical signals. Yeah, electrical. When a plant is wounded, an electrical charge can actually shoot right through this fungal network. This is absolutely crucial because electrical signaling completely bypasses the slow biophysical constraint of waiting for a liquid to move a chemical through the dirt. It's incredibly fast, it's direct, and it's highly targeted.
Let's see this in action. Section 4. How connected plants respond. So we've got this physical fungal wiring beneath the soil transmitting chemical and electrical data. But what is the actual biological purpose of all this? How do these connected plants use this info in a life or death situation? Well, here is exactly how this chain reaction plays out in reality. Step 1. Insect herbivores, let's say a swarm of hungry aphids, land on a plant and start attacking it, sucking out its sap. Step 2. The plant immediately reacts. A defense signal is generated, shooting rapidly down into its roots and straight across that underground fungal network we just talked about. And step 3, neighboring plants, which literally haven't seen a single aphid yet, receive this signal through their roots and instantly activate their own anti-herbivore defenses. They pump themselves full of chemicals to make themselves less appetizing or even toxic, entirely based on a warning from a neighbor. And it turns out, this underground tree talk isn't just about fighting off insects like aphids. The research shows these signals also mediate defenses against foliar necrotrophic fungi. I know, big words. Basically, these are harmful, plant-killing fungi that attack the leaves from the outside. So by sharing these warning signals through the friendly mycorrhizal network down in the soil, the plants are collaboratively protecting their whole community from a huge range of lethal threats above ground. It's truly a shared neighborhood defense system.
But let's take a step back. Section 5. What is actually proven? So the crucial point is, this all sounds almost magical, right? And honestly, it is super easy for the internet to take these incredible biological facts and exaggerate them into this concept of a fully conscious thinking forest. But let's separate scientific reality from the hype. Looking at the established evidence, we know for a fact that nutrients transfer between plants through these networks. We know that allochemicals, these are chemicals that influence the growth of other organisms, are transferred. And we absolutely know those chemical and electrical defense signals exist. But on the debated side of things, the broader implications remain heavily contested. The deep evolutionary reasons behind this, the true scale of the ecological impact across an entire massive forest, and the agronomic reality of a unified wood wide web where all trees act as a single brain, those concepts remain largely unknown or are hotly debated by scientists. We really have to be careful to stick to the actual data. Because what the hard science actually tells us is that this communication is a highly localized, specific biological response. It's not some unified forest consciousness. A plant's adaptive behavior heavily depends on specific environmental cues, the identity of the exact plant neighbor it's interacting with, and the unique characteristics of that local fungal network. It's a complex, adaptive system responding to local pressure, not a global forest-wide brain. And here's why this matters for us. Understanding the localized, cue-dependent nature of this biology actually helps us better protect specific, vulnerable forest ecosystems. It's far more practical than just treating the woods as one invincible megaorganism.
When we break down the data, we realize that the truth is just as awe-inspiring as the myths. We've seen how volatile chemicals act as these invisible warnings riding on the wind, and how a vast microscopic web of fungi connects root to root, literally pulsing with liquid and electrical alarms. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Trees may not speak like humans, but the forest is far from silent. Next time you take a walk through the woods, take a second to ask yourself, what invisible alarms are pulsing through the soil beneath your very boots?